This is CBS.
Tonight on NewsCenter 9, the O.J. Simpson trial is about to get underway. We'll tell you what happens this week and what some Down East residents think will be the outcome. Tonight, we'll also take you to Haiti, where there are some problems right now. We have these stories and more up next.
Your award-winning news station. This is WNCT-TV Greenville. First in news with Rex Rowland, David Sawyer with weather, and Todd Gibson with sports. This is NewsCenter 9's 11 o'clock report.
Good evening. I'm Rex Rowland leading our newscast tonight. One of the most sensational murder trials we may ever see in our history gets started in Los Angeles tomorrow morning. Jury selection is set to start in O.J. Simpson's double murder trial of his ex-wife Nicole and Ron Goldman. 1,000 people will first be called as one of the potential jurors. After being selected, they will have to complete lengthy written questionnaires and appear before the judge for oral questioning. The selection will not be televised and names of jurors will be kept secret. Since this case has gotten so much publicity, many wonder if impartial jurors can be found. We asked Eastern Carolinians.
Yeah, I think by now everybody knows the deal on the case.
So you don't think there's any way they can find 12 people?
Nah, not nowhere in the United States.
Yeah, I think he can get a fair trial. He's just a man. I mean, if you get anybody else killed anybody, same thing happened to them. I think it's just publicity's blown it all away.
No, I think it's messed up, you know what I'm saying? He'll get a fair trial. They should get one, you know what I'm saying? If they don't, that'd be messed up.
So you think there might be just too much knowledge about this and people may not give him a fair trial?
Yeah, it'd be too much, though. Because all of them think he ain't do it. I know he ain't do it, man. He probably did. Somebody set him up.
I don't think they will, and if they found 12 who haven't, I'd be kind of scared to be judged by them.
Now, there are probably not too many people in this country who haven't heard about the Simpson case, and while it has gotten a lot of coverage in this country, it has also gotten a lot of coverage in other countries.
From the sky.
The circus that has surrounded the O.J. Simpson trial in America has now gone international.
Den ex-Footballstar O.J. Simpson.
England has its own documentaries and specials on the evening news. Even pushy British reporters eager to get their piece of the story.
Mr. Spear, in London we wouldn't have any pre-trial publicity. How would you feel about that?
I'm moving to London.
That won't help because next up, weekly trial wrap-ups on the BBC. Brits who liked Dallas and JR love this new American saga.
Every character that comes up is like something out of central casting. There's Cato, there's OJ, there's the family, there's Nicole. It's all sorts of things about America that you've seen in fiction and now you can see in real life.
In Europe, they are fascinated with America's fascination with Simpson and wonder why the U.S. is obsessed with what the Italians now call O.J., the man with two lives. Still, the economics of the story are attractive enough that a Paris bar is selling a special new cocktail. These days, you can hardly escape O.J. Simpson overseas. Most know who he is. Some have a bit of trouble understanding exactly what he's accused of doing.
O.J. Simpson, I heard he killed women.
Those questions will soon have answers as the world prepares to watch what's being billed over here as the trial of the century. Cindy Kennard, CBS News, London.
Camp Lejeune Marines are now guarding a city in Haiti after a gun battle left several people dead and police authority virtually non-existent. We have the latest from Haiti.
By dawn, the bodies had been removed, the wounded evacuated, and the police headquarters of Cap Haïtien surrounded by a ring of steel. The Marines controlled the streets. The people were shuttered up behind closed doors. They knew a battle had been fought. They did not know who won. Gradually, they ventured out and seemed very pleased with what they discovered. Before long, the Marines were greeted by a parade of the thankful with offerings, rifles looted from other police offices and army barracks in other parts of town. The people were not waiting for a weapons buyback. They just wanted their city back from the police and the attachés who've terrorized them these past 3 years. Then the Marines left, and the people went in. Inside what was to them the headquarters of their oppression. It was the storming of the Bastille. They rifled the drawers, they went to the cells, and then the ultimate act of liberation, they broke down those doors. In Port-au-Prince today, the leader of Haiti's right-wing paramilitary group expressed fears that the violence could come here to the capital and turn against him and his men. Judging from what we've seen in Cap-Haïtien today, those fears seem entirely understandable. Bob Simon, CBS News, Port-au-Prince.
In news from across the state tonight, a 23-year-old man was shot to death in a Burger King parking lot yesterday, and a 16-year-old has been charged with his murder. Vincent police have charged Howard T. Washington with shooting Henry Coates once in the chest and shoulder area with a .380 automatic handgun. Officials speculate Washington and Coates were arguing before the shooting. Washington is being held in the Johnson County Jail without bond. When criminals are sentenced in the future, they will find sentences don't mean the same thing they used to. Violent and career criminals sentenced after next Saturday will stay behind bars longer. To make room for them, more nonviolent offenders will be placed under house arrest and in community programs. Superior Court Judge Tom Ross says the rules will deliver truth in sentencing and certain punishment. Representative Robert Brawley says the plan is a failure in the making, and the truth in sentencing is that criminals won't be in jail for long. Maximum sentences announced in court will be 80% shorter on average than what judges now impose. But the actual time behind bars will go up for most violent and repeat criminals. And the new rules do away with parole in almost all cases. U.S. air officials spent the weekend meeting with union leaders to work on details of a plan to cut $500 million in labor costs. The talks had moved slowly until the September 8th crash of U.S. Air Flight 427 near Pittsburgh. The crash reportedly jolted the unions to start working out internal differences in their approach to the talks. Federal investigators are still trying to determine the cause of the crash, which killed all 132 on board. That crash followed by the crash of U.S. Airjet near Charlotte, North Carolina, that killed 37 of 57 people on board. A spokesman for U.S. Air said officials were in New York for meetings today, but he refused to comment on the status of the talks. North Carolinians who find it easier to go to South Carolina to get married may start to stay at home to tie the knot. South Carolina wedding chapels may lose their appeal to North Carolinians in a hurry to get married. A quick wedding south of the border in York County has been a popular tradition because South Carolina requires only a 24-hour wait, identification, and parental agreement for those underage. But beginning October 1st, North Carolina will drop the requirement that creates the biggest delay, a doctor's physical. Janice Thornthrow owns a Precious Memories wedding chapel in York. She expects a change in the law to slow her business. She says she sometimes has as many as 15 weddings per week. Now she hopes the higher cost of getting married in North Carolina will sustain her business. Tying the knot to the north costs $40. South of the border, it's $10. Coming up on News Center 9, we'll tell you why several Down East folks were pulling out their bikes and hitting the road. And later in the cast, we'll tell you about a new kind of cotton. Actually, it's not new, but it's something farmers are rediscovering because of the profit potential. We'll tell you about it. Stay with us.
Good evening. I'm Kimberly Jr. We are watching some shower activity, and we'll talk a little bit more about that when we return.
Blindfolded Dan is trying to guess what car we got here, which for you folks watching at home is the Eagle Talon.
This is dual airbags. These are leather trim seats. I feel a CD player, 300ZX.
Oh, keep trying, Dan. Dan is trying to identify this new sport